What's going on, everybody? Noah from Stage 3 Motorsports here, and today I'm going to show you how to install a set of these Grimm Offroad hood hinge brackets on your 5th gen 4Runner. Real quick before we get started, I am doing this install with a set of Baja designed Squadron lights, but these brackets are really universal and you could run almost any other LED pod style light on them. So the only thing that's really going to vary is just how you run your wiring. Now, I'll give a brief overview of the wiring that I did at the end, but with that out of the way, let's get into the actual install. I find that it's typically easiest to mount the light to the bracket before you get it onto the vehicle, and then you're going to want to mount that lower bracket that comes with whatever light you purchased and run the bolt through the bottom as well. And then this is pretty simple to just line it up, put it through the hole, and now you can easily get your washers and your nut onto the bottom. Now that we've got this snug on here, typically the two ways you're either going to want to set this are having it angled out as a ditch light or having it angled forward just for more projection out front of the truck. And this bottom line that makes up the bracket, if you twist it and you line it up so that this is perfectly even with this face right here on the tab, then that's usually going to project straight forward. And then if you want to tilt it out, you basically just need to match this line up with this surface here on the bend coming down the bracket, and that's going to kind of point this out over the corner of the hood like a ditch light. Now, I do want it in this position, so I'm going to tighten it down right about here, and then obviously you can make some adjustments on the truck, but now that it's in place, that's going to make things a little bit easier. Next, you're going to want to move over to your truck, pop the hood, and we're going to start here on the passenger side. The first thing to note is that there is a little hose here that's going to those spray nozzles for your windshield washers, and you'll just want to pop this out of the little plastic clip that's holding it. It'll give you a bit more slack so that way it doesn't get hung up as we're working on the bracket. Then the next thing we want to do is grab some of this blue painter's tape, and I like to just mark where the bracket is sitting so that way if it shifts at all, I can easily get it back in line on the truck. Typically, it won't move much, if at all, but it's good to have the tape there just to be certain. Now grab your ratchet with a 12mm socket, and we're going to loosen up these two bolts, but you only want to get a couple threads exposed. You don't want to back them out all the way because we just want enough room to slide our new Grimm bracket into place. Okay, now I'm going to bring the Grimm bracket around behind the hood, and we're just going to line up these two cutouts with the bolts. Now you just want to check behind your light, make sure that it's not coming in contact with the glass or your windshield wipers and that you're not going to have an issue next time you open your hood back up. Then this is also a good time to gently close the hood and make sure it all articulates right and that your hinges are still working properly. So I'm going to tip that forward right now. Okay, perfect. Everything looks solid here, and you can see that the bracket is hugging right along the line of the hood. So for those of you that are still curious about the wiring, basically I ran with the Baja Designs harness that's included in the kit with the Squadrons, and I ran the red power to the power terminal on the battery, took the ground around behind here and actually attached it to this screw on the body inside of the fender, just because I prefer to run all of my grounds here instead of piling them up on the battery as well. Then the relay, you're going to want to find a safe place for. Right now, I temporarily have it up here above the ground terminal, and you can see it's just zip tied in place, but I'm going to go ahead and tap a hole, add some threads, and probably get this mounted a little more permanently once I have time. Then from there, I ran the wires down behind this relay and fuse box, and there's a factory grommet back here on the firewall where you can pass a lot of the wires through, and it allows you to basically pop out where the kick panel is underneath and run up to your switches. I also ran a wire up here that's attaching to the weather sealed connector for the Squadron on this side. And then of course the other longer wire I ran along with this factory harness that's kind of tucked up at the top of the firewall, and that's going to pass all the way over and across to the passenger side of the vehicle where I have the other connector attached. Swinging back around to the inside of the truck, you can see I have the switch mounted right here on the dash. And I do have another little red switch that looks identical. This one's actually for the KC lights on the front that I ran a while back. but this works pretty decent. You can see it's a simple push on, push off kind of red button style switch. So it works for now. I think down the road, I'll probably swap this for a Toyota factory style switch that looks a little cleaner, but this at least gives you an idea of where you can run the wiring to get the job done. Well, that's going to be a wrap on this Grimm Offroad hood hinge bracket install, and hopefully this was a helpful guide for you guys so you can get a similar lighting setup going on your truck. But if you're interested in picking up some of the parts I used here, we'll have links down in the description that are going to shoot you over to our website. And as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.